I'm not gonna lie, this video has changed substantially in the last 2 days, but here we go. Hi, welcome back to my studio. I'm Katie, and I'm gonna do a mid-year review for you on my planner system, how it's gone the last 6 months, and what I'm doing for the upcoming 6 months in 2024. So if you watched my flip through of my B6 Common Planner first half of the year, which I will link to below, you will have some inclination of how things are going because there's evidence of it in the layouts, but that was mostly aiming to be a flip through, and today I'm going to talk more functionality, mentality, systems, how the two work together. So grab a cup of coffee or whatever drink suits you and hang out with me. So I started the year with 3 planners. My work planner is not here with me. It really never is for these updates because it lives at work and sometimes I remember to bring it home, but it's not a part of this system really. It's doing its own thing. It's a paper test design weekly, week size notebook, the undated. I use it sometimes I don't. It's undated. It's not a big deal. I don't wish I had something else. It's just that sometimes I don't use it. Moving on. The rest of my system is common planners. I got the B6 half year, which is also what I used in 2023. So that was really familiar to me. And I got the Passport Compact, which is in vertical. So it only came in compact, but it came in vertical or horizontal. And when this got announced like a year ago, last July, I loved it so much. I printed inserts in the same kind of layout. So in some ways I've been using this layout for a year, despite the fact that this book has only existed for about 6 months. So that's where we started. How's it going now? Mixed. What think I've learned about myself, or at least lately in this season of life, is that at my heart, I am a one book girl. I seem to only be able to be really interested in one of these books at a time. And that's interesting information. I didn't really know that. But here we are. And I don't think I'm going to be a one book person. It would take a whole change in mentality, and I could do it, but I am not interested in carrying my, diary with me all of the time. B6 is a little big, it would be fine, and I don't want to go smaller for my journal, so I could separate my journal, but I've got a system I think that's currently working, so we'll get into that because 2 days ago it wasn't, but today I think it is, and hope springs eternal. So I don't think I'm going to be a one book girly. I think that's how my natural inclinations are, but I like the passport size for carrying around with me, and I like the B6 for at home. And if there were a magic system where it could shrink and enlarge depending on where I was, sign me up. But here in reality, this is what we are working with. So at the beginning of the year, I was a huge passport planner. I've got a bunch of plan with me's here from the beginning of the year. I was just a huge fan. I was using it a lot. Although mostly it's I'm putting events in. The pencil added later is not so much about planning, that's memory keeping. I was using that to fill in my journal later. But you'll notice actually there aren't that many tasks. That kind of comes and goes. It depends. I ended up then switching to kind of a grouped task kind of thing. Things for when I'm staying offline, things for when I'm sitting at my computer, things for when I only have 5 minutes. But I fell off here kind of in April. And we'll talk about why in a second. But through April, I was pretty good. I guess I made it all the way through April. And then we start seeing dramatic drop off. 2 absolutely blank weeks. I think I was out of town one of these weeks, so that's part of it. And then, you know, stuff down here, but nothing else. Now, part of that is that I moved my memory keeping. So there's not actually really fewer events than there is here. It's just that there's not the pencil part. So I kept working at it, but it's like slowly getting looked at less and less. I'm not using it. I'm not decorating it. It just was like out of the primacy of my mind. What happened during that time? During that time, I switched my B6 layout in the back from being journaling pages to doing these tasks and events and whatever. And so this is where my memory keeping was living. And this is where like a lot of my tasks and my journaling, and I just really fell in love with this layout. I don't always do 2 pages per day, although I often do. But here's, you know, 1 page per day. I like that they're not dated, so I get to choose what I want to do. And it just kind of made the passport not feel new, not feel exciting, not feel needed. You know, I don't have a lot of tolerance for writing the same thing in both places, although sometimes I need to and sometimes I do. But I just became really entranced with that, and this just really fell by the wayside. I was still filling it in most weeks so that I knew what events, you know, just kind of as a process of sitting and thinking about my week and remembering I have a doctor's appointment on Friday, on Monday, you know, so it doesn't sneak up on me, that kind of thing. But that's really all I was doing with it. I wasn't coming back to it. I wasn't living out of it. I was just like spending an hour on a Monday thinking about, not even an hour, several minutes on a Monday thinking about my week ahead. And that's really all it was. And I believe, you know, planners come in and out of prominence. What works for me now won't always be what works. You know, that's just like a part of life. And you know, I just have to accept that. In the meantime, my weeklies changed in my B6 Common Planner from these memory keeping ones to these way more functional. Where are they? Here, where it's like a lot of meal planning and home tasks and kind of like all kinds of categories. Where's my current week? We're in book 2 now. You know, so here's about the delivery information for the farm. I get weekly deliveries from. These are meals. These are tasks, home related tasks. This is media. That's just memory keeping, and then some lists. And I've been really happy with this. I think it will come and go. This is how it is. I love how flexible the Sterling Ink Common Planner weekly layout is to redesign and change, but so far this is working for me. And it just felt like there wasn't any room for the passport. And 2 days ago, I thought that was just going to be what my planner update was. It was like, I pretty much don't use the passport. I'm obsessed with the B6. And then what happened this week? I thought about ditching the passport planner altogether. So I've talked about this before. This has become quite the unwieldy thing. I'm guessing it weighs like a pound or like half a kilo, maybe a little more. I don't really know. I've got a lot of things. I don't like to be without my stuff. So I got, you know, the brass clip. I've got a pencil and honestly 3 pens. One of them is elsewhere at the moment. I've got my rings and then, you know, whatever. So it's getting heavy. It's like really, it's not that heavy, but it's, and it feels nice and pleasant in the hand, but it's like a substantial thing. And I thought about just like, I fantasized a little bit about ditching the passport planner and just doing mini rings. Because I've actually really been enjoying the mini rings in the time that the Passport Planner has been out of style. Not really for planning. I just use it, here's where I was sketching some bathing suit sewing ideas. I just use it as like, it's just stuff, stuff that I don't need in the book forever. Here's some journaling pages. It's just random stuff, but I like to have random stuff that like I don't need to keep it. The thing about book bound is like if I put it in the notes pages, I have to carry it around for the rest of the time of this book. And there's some things where that's great, and there are some things where, I just don't want to. So I was thinking about ditching this altogether. It would make the whole system substantially lighter. Like, I think, well, some of this is the brass clip too, but I don't know. It's probably not half the weight, but it's close. And so I was thinking about just going into mini rings, and then I've got options. But I wanted to, what happened is I started searching around the internet for Pocket Plus, which is the size I use here, Pocket Plus layouts. I don't want to show you too much here because I don't want to steal my own thunder here in a second. I started looking at Pocket Plus layouts to decide, like, okay, if I get rid of this, I might not use a weekly every week in the rings, but I might want one sometimes, and I can just print some undated ones and have them. So I like went and looked at all the shops with all their little Pocket Plus inserts, and there are plenty, and I'm sure I missed many of them. And I became inspired. And so I started drawing test layouts. Do I have those here? Yeah, I started drawing test layouts in the back of this book, just kind of brainstorming. Originally, I thought I wanted to maybe do a week on 4 pages, and so have like columns for each day of the week. I wondered if that would maybe give me more room for my task list. I don't know. Whatever. I was just looking at stuff. I was looking to be inspired. And inspired I was. I ended up falling in love with this layout here that I made myself. So it's a vertical, but instead of 5 column widths, which is what this is, these are just 4. So it takes up, you can get 5 days equally across because there's 20, which is just perfect. Thank you for that, Catherine. So you can get 5 days across here and 2 across here, and then you've got room down this side. And so then I put the hourly, but I don't need it to go all the way until midnight. This is my on-the-go planner, and like nothing new is starting for me after 8:30. And really, if I'm not out doing something by like after work, it's just not happening, I'm in my late 30s, mid 30s, whatever. Like, no, it's not happening. Once I'm home, it's over. So I didn't need the timeline to go as far down. And so this like gave me room to think about what I actually wanted. So I've only been using this for 2 days, but I'm really enjoying it. So, take this for what it's worth. Sprinkle salt all over all of this. But I'm enjoying myself, and that's what matters. If I am like kind of intellectually stimulated by what I'm trying, I'm like way more likely to be in here. So I've been in here religiously for the last 2 days because I'm interested in it. So I've got the vertical weekly across the top, and again, this is a layout for people who are willing to write small, which I am, but I recommend a 0.3 millimeter gel pen for this. I'm trying to get the fountain pen situation working, and I might be able to. This is the reversed side, and that should be fine. I think I can make that work. But right now, I'm using an Energel pen, which is my favorite gel pen, and that 0.3 needle point is just like so good. Whenever I go back to it, I'm like, oh, I mean, I like my fountain pens, but like this is a great writing experience. So anyway, this is the layout for people willing to write small. So as you'll remember, I wasn't really using it. This is the same week, right? So there's not that much on here. I like to be able to see it at a glance, but there's not that much in there. So the fact that it shrank is actually not that big a deal. You know, that doctor appointment thing still works. I'm willing to do 2 lines in a square. Again, you need small handwriting and a small pen for that. But like, I feel like everything for my at a glance still fits. And that's really all I need it to be, is at a glance. And so mostly it's that, you know, by looking at this doctor's appointment every day for 5 days before it happens, I like know it's happening. Chances are I wasn't going to forget it anyways. I've got alarms and other things set up, but like I know it's happening because I've looked at it every day. And so that's what really I'm doing here. But then I have a couple times I have a party that I'm hosting on the 2nd, and I have a couple timed tasks. I need to put the cooler out to get my farm delivery on Thursday morning, and I want to prep bread dough Thursday night. But I don't have that much stuff in here. I tried the pencil memory keeping again, but I don't think I'm going to stick with it. I'm capturing that stuff elsewhere. I don't need it. So the fact that this is shrunk is totally fine for me. And then what I'm doing with this extra side is day specific tasks, which I kind of had a spot for here at the bottom, but it felt small. It felt narrow is really what it was. Now, obviously I've switched pens and that's part of it too. But I like that this is 4, 8, 10, or 11 squares wide. It's, you know, at least it's more than twice the size of the columns from before. So I like that. So I'm having day specific tasks here. I still have a place for my mail and my errands. And then I've put like a rolling weekly down here. And this is another thing I kind of didn't really have in my layout before. I could have put it in the column, but again, it's so narrow. And I enjoy the rolling weekly for tasks that aren't specific to a day and for tasks that might take multiple days for me to finish. I can kind of track that across the week. So I have my habit tracker essentially built into it, but I also have I only emailed half of the friends I want to email yesterday, and so there's still room to keep doing that. And I'd like to have some demarcation that I've made progress. And so I like the rolling weekly. If I end up having a lot of stuff here, I might end up putting 2 in a row. But I don't think I want to put that many tasks on there. So I don't think I need to, but I could if I have a really busy week. In terms of what's in here, I'm trying to keep it mostly separate from the stuff that is in here, because there's not enough room to be double dipping, and I don't need to, and it causes me fatigue. So the B6 Common Planner is my at-home planner, and most of the tasks that are in here are things I'm going to be accomplishing from my house, or, mostly from my house. And my passport planner I'm reserving for tasks that can or must be done elsewhere. So some of them are things like bringing distilled water home on my way home from work, Some of them are things I can be doing at home, but I also can do from work. I have a desk job. There's a little bit of room for things that like happen, like I paid my car insurance or whatever. So these are for tasks that don't necessarily have to be done from home, that might be done in the like interstitial times between work and home, so on my commute, or that can be done at home. And I'm hoping that that kind of narrowing of scope, which isn't true of what I was doing when I was using this passport planner before. It was pretty much all of my tasks. I'm hoping that this division of scope for both of them will serve me well, and that I will have the right amount of space for each thing and not too much space or too little. So, I don't know if this is what you were looking for in a mid-year review, but this is what's got my brain going right now. It's really causing me to think, and it's causing me to be excited. And so far I've been keeping up with both layouts. Only time will tell if that continues to be true, but I'm interested, I'm intrigued, I'm stimulated by changing the layout. Right now I'm doing it in the notes pages. There's plenty of notes pages. If you remember back at the beginning of the year, I was worried I was going to run out of notes pages because I was doing a lot of daily task logging back when I was doing my own pre-printed inserts. That has been deeply untrue most of this year, and I'm only on page 26 out of 120. So I can just keep doing this for the rest of the year in the notes pages. I kind of would like to retrofit it into the weeklies because I feel bad leaving the weeklies empty. But that's going to be challenging. A lot of stuff is going to be in the way. I'm going to mess with it. I'd feel better if I was using the weeklies for the weeklies, but like maybe I could be using the weeklies as notes pages. It's easier to just write task list across it than to rearrange it to this. So I'm still coping with that. I don't love wasting pages. But I've got options, and also I'm telling myself that like leaving it blank isn't really that much more of a waste than barely looking at it, you know? Like, yeah, I wrote in this one, but I never looked at it again. Is this more wasteful, less wasteful than leaving it blank? I don't know. So, we're working on our mentality on some of that. But, yeah, I'm really interested. I have, I'm pretty sure that in 2025 I'm not going to buy one of these again. I think I'd rather go back to inserts. The book is so cute, and I love how it feels in the hand, but I just don't think that it's the right format for me. I think I need something with more flexibility, and so I could do just a plain notebook instead of a planner, but I think I don't want to carry all of these pages around all the time. I think I'd rather do inserts and do like 2 months at a time or something and keep this whole thing a little bit lighter. Now, obviously I can make this lighter by clearing out plenty of the crap that is in here that I don't need anymore. If you're curious if I'm still doing this Moxie Life stuff, the answer is no. So this requires a deep clean anyway. But anyway, I have also digitized this layout. I call this the Mary Poppins layout because it has so many things. I've made a digital version for inserts, or for like TN inserts, or for rings, and it's just so much prettier than my hand-drawn one. I mean, they're both fine, but so I'm having trouble talking myself into staying in this, but I really want to use it up. So I think I'm going to maybe make some stickers that will make the drawn in version more like this one. But I have dated versions for this for 2024 and 2025 already, and this is just kind of where my heart currently is. So stay tuned. I'll update you if and when, let's be honest, when, not if, things change. Even as I was dating the 2025 one, I was like, there's no way I'm not going to change things between now and then. I tend to be on about a 6 month to a year. But it wasn't that hard to date it. I have a program that I can just like essentially press go and date the whole thing. So it's not like I spent hours like numbering dates. So it's fine. But planner, know thyself. I'm going to change. Probably in 6 months or a year. But that's my current plan for 2024 is to use as many of these pages as I can, send it off into oblivion with my head held high, and next year do TN inserts or ring inserts that give me more of the flexibility that I'm looking for. All right, I'm gonna clean out some of this stuff. I'm going to make some stickers for my layout. Thank you for hanging out with me. I really love watching these videos because it feels like a way to see into other people's brains, and I find that really interesting, both so that I can get ideas from you and also because it makes me feel a little less unhinged to see that other people also are thinking about things the way I am. So I love this community. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you found value in it too. I always get asked about my covers when I don't talk about them in the video. I sewed them myself. As far as I know, there is nowhere to buy something like this. So my apologies. Learning to sew is fun. I don't know what to tell you. All right. Thanks for hanging out. I'll talk soon. Bye.